This is my how-to video on how to disassemble your hubs, replace your rotors, replace your brake pads, bleed the brakes. We're going to go over all of that here. This is my official disclaimer to let you know that I am not a mechanic. I have had about 30 of my own vehicles and I have worked on all of them. I don't pay mechanics because mechanics and used car salesmen are not the kind of people I want to deal with. Keep in mind, when you're lifting these buses up to get the tires off, my bus weighs 16,000 pounds right now. It will squish you like a bug. The way I did it is the way it worked for me. I'm not suggesting that you do it. Do it how you like. I'm not telling you to do it any certain way. I am simply showing you the way I did it. There was a point when my back end was lifted. It was on jack stands with no tires. And I attempted to take the front tire off, so I had to lift the front. And the back started to sink into the dirt, into the gravel. We have a gravel driveway. It's sitting on gravels right here. So just be very careful. Any time you put a jack under this bus and start to jack up on it, you need to watch every corner of the bus for every pump of the jack stand, because this is some serious weight. Like I said, mine's 16,000 pounds. So it will not forgive you.
No amount of adrenaline can save you.
No amount of adrenaline will save you. It will not forgive you. It will kill you. So, with that being said, doing your own mechanic work can save you thousands of dollars. To do my whole brake system, rotors, pads, calipers, and hydraulic lines, all new pieces, costed me, and I ordered bearings. So I also had a set of races and a set of bearings. So that's 4 extra pieces for the front and the back. And those were in case I had a hub with bad bearings. Luckily, all 4 of my bearings were fine. So now I have spare parts on the bus, so if any of my bearings go bad. But that set of bearings and races for the hubs costed me about an extra $200. So with everything, I spent a little over $1,500. So if you know you don't need something, it can cost you a lot less. But I just went ahead, peace of mind, change them all, check them all, and I have an inventory on the bus for down the road if any of my bearings go bad. If you brought this bus to a diesel mechanic, a diesel shop, you would be paying a lot more. If you have any mechanical experience, if you've changed your brakes and rotors on a normal vehicle, you are more than capable of doing this job. If you are mechanically inclined, you have your own tools, they're pretty simple. I was pretty shocked of how simple of a setup it all is. You're not going to be doing anything crazy there. It's nuts, it's bolts, it's taking things off. So it has taken me about 2 weeks to get this bus done, 5 to 6 working days. I would say it took me about 4 hours a hub. Maybe the first one when I was learning, maybe 6 hours a hub. Once I was familiar with the hub, it dropped down dramatically. So if you plan on doing this job, your bus is definitely going to be on jacks for more than a couple of days. We got a wheel seal busted, fellas. And this ain't moving. This is locked up right now. It's not locked up, but it's not moving like it's supposed to. because you have pad life left doesn't mean your pads are good. I bet you if that looks like that. The back of the rotors got some lips in it. It's not grooved, but
No.
damn did it get hot. You can still see some blue. That's choo-choo. All these little teeth, the ABS sensor catches. So these all need to be clean. These grooves, this groove right here is not good. You got another groove in the front. And you can see all the wetness. This seal's not good. So this was one that I knew was leaking. So far I'm happy to have it off. I am replacing the rotors, calipers and brake pads for sure, along with the rubber hose, the hydraulic hose. There's a whole hydraulic system, so both front and back are rotors, calipers, and pads. So got all those new. This is two separate pieces, so this hub will have to come out. I also bought bearings. There's two sets of bearings in each hub. So I bought a set of bearings for the front and a set of bearings for the back. I don't assume all four of them is bad, but if at least one of them is bad, so we're gonna get in here and check them. All the bolts that hold the rotor to the hub are frozen. So I added some heat with the torch. Just because you have thickness left on the metal and thickness left on the pads does not mean they are still good. Let me grab the pads for you, because the pads had a lot of life left. The pads are bad. I would assume these are the original rotors because of the rust. These were my pads. You can see there's still life left to them, but that does not mean they are still good. While we were coming down the mountain, we had see, these brakes got so hot. I drove about 800 miles with just the front brakes, and these are the front brakes. So coming down some of these mountains, I overheated the crap out of my front brakes, as well as the back ones, because the reason they were disconnected is because the back ones were locking up on me. So we're gonna check it out. I'm gonna go see how much these are, because I only got one of them at the Freightliner shop.
but now I have a part number, so now I can see this was a $50 seal. So we're gonna go see if we can find a little cheaper online. If we can, then I'm just gonna replace them. Got everything else.
The braking system on this bus is hydraulic. It's the same system as your pickup truck, as your little car, your little Toyotas. If you have a disc brake system, hydraulic brake system, this is the same thing. It's just super heavy duty. If you have a hydraulic system, you can either have disc brakes or drum brakes. The whole system of taking the wheels off, taking the hub apart, all that is almost the same with disc versus drum. If you have air brake system, you need to maintenance your air brakes, especially if you're going to be driving long distance and in mountains. Air brakes can lock up on you, just like these calipers locked up on me, and they could be a pain and that they need maintenance. The caliper system, like I have on this bus, they need to be greased. The slides that the caliper slides on, so you don't have any issues. Good maintenance is every 5,000 miles. You take your tires off, grease those slides. You want to check your fluid in your master cylinder every 3,000 miles or 3 months. The thing you should probably do all at the same time is adjust your parking brake lever. That gets tight over time, over miles. It will tighten itself. You need to make sure it's not causing any drag while you're driving. So your parking brake, grease your caliper slides, and check your fluids. This is good maintenance to do every 3 months or 5,000 miles. If you have a wheelchair lift on your school bus, it also has a safety feature. It has a second reservoir that holds brake fluid, but I did read a Bluebird manual. So if you have a wheelchair lift, you have an interlock system. It's a safety feature, and that needs to be bled at the same time you bleed your brakes. You should look into it if you have a wheelchair lift, because I will not be able to show you what that looks like.
This is the steering axle. This that comes right here. This system right here is a big pin Like this is a bar and a U, right? And it goes in like that.
Okay.
And a pin goes through it. It's the kingpin. It's a kingpin system.
Gotcha.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
If you look right here, I've spotted 3 on the steering. So last night I pressure washed this. This was full of caked grease and oil. I was real scared. A lot of that was holding this together, but the curiosity in me needed to see all the working parts, because I mean this was just clumped. You couldn't see any of these bolts. Not all this stuff was just caked. So it's all right here. It was this kind of gunk. So today I'm going to be pressing grease in these ports. They got one on the top, they got one on the bottom, and they got one on this side underneath here. Comme ça. And then we're going to start pumping until we start to see it come out. If you're just tuning in, we're doing the final steps on the final wheel. I need to add some grease to all my steering parts. My kingpin on this side needs some grease. Just like the last side, we got this one all nice and clean. Got all the gunk chipped off of it and pressure washed off of it. Now we're gonna fill it up with some grease, connect our hydraulic hose lines, and then we're gonna bleed the brakes. I'm gonna get the tire back on. I'm gonna get it off the jack stand before I bleed the brakes though. You can see water coming out. You can hear the air crackling. What we're doing is we're pushing all the water, pushing all the air out with fresh grease, packing it tight with fresh grease. It's a good thing to pack these regularly. I'd say regularly, maybe once a year regularly. If you don't at least pack them, check them.
Ooh, a lot of water and air.
You got nothing on this side yet.
Nothing here either, just water and air. Okay, finally it's coming.
I looked into it a little bit. The trick is to do this while the weight is off of the kingpin. Apparently when you get the weight off, all the grease can get to the parts where it needs to get to without any pressure on it. So we are filling this up. How's it look on your side?
Another bubble just came out.
Nothing's coming out yet?
No, stuff's coming out. I said another bubble came out.
Nasty grease. Got some grease on this side. This one you can actually see yourself. It did bust. I busted it. To be honest, I think I busted it. I was cleaning it with the chisel.